The chandelier was glowing warm and steady above that old dining table, the same one I'd sat at since I was a kid, watching my father slice turkey like he was doing surgery, like he was the one in charge of holding the whole family together, and maybe in his mind he was. But that Christmas, the air was different, sharp, heavy, like something was about to break. My mom twisting her pearl necklace like it was a rosary, my brothers sharing these little side glances like they'd been rehearsing for this moment. I sat there in my plain black sweater, eating mashed potatoes, pretending I didn't feel the storm rolling in. My phone buzzed in my purse. Emma, my assistant, probably, but nothing, absolutely nothing, was allowed to interrupt my dad's dinner speeches. Then, right on cue, Dad set the knife down like he was a judge about to hand down a verdict. He cleared his throat, and his voice dropped into that slow, deliberate tone that always meant pay attention. Sarah, your mother and I, we've been finalizing the will, and we've made some decisions about the inheritance. You could feel the air snap. Michael sat up straighter, Daniel's smirk deepened. Their wives leaned in like vultures waiting for scraps, and the kids even looked up from their phones. He didn't drag it out. The businesses, the properties, the investments, they'll go to Michael and Daniel. They've proven themselves capable of responsibility. Like a judge handing me my life sentence. And my mom, bless her, leaned in with that sweet poison voice. Honey, it's not that we don't love you, it's just you've always been different. That little computer job, that small apartment downtown, you never really cared about real business. Michael smoothed his fancy tie, puffed up. Exactly. Dad's company needs someone who understands contracts, negotiations. Jennifer and I have been by his side for years. Daniel piled on, smug as ever. And restaurants, Sarah, they need boots on the ground. Someone who can handle staff, vendors, expansion. That's not really your wheelhouse. I sipped my wine, the 1998 Bordeaux I'd quietly slipped into their collection, worth more than half their employees' monthly paychecks. But sure, I was the one who didn't understand real business. You're right, I said calmly, like I was agreeing with them. And the relief on my father's face, like he thought I'd just rolled over him. It was almost funny. Then he softened, said there'd still be a little something for me, a small trust. Maybe 50 grand to keep me comfortable. 50 grand. Like I was some charity case. Jennifer lit up like she'd won the jackpot. Patricia leaned forward to gush about how they'd used the money to invest in condos down by the harbor, and that was when I nearly spit out my wine. Harborview Residences. My development. My project that had just cleared $30 million in profit that quarter. I smiled. That sounds like a great investment. But the real fireworks started when Tommy, 19 years old and still glued to his phone, froze mid-scroll. He stared at his screen, then at me, then back down again, pale as a sheet. Aunt Sarah, he said. Forbes just updated their billionaire list. And you're on it. At first nobody cared, until he read it out loud. Sarah Bennett, CEO of Quantum Dynamics. Net worth $3.8 billion. And just like that, silence. Forks in midair, glasses halfway up, Dad's face drained, Michael's jaw tightening. He snatched the phone, Jennifer whispering, "That's her. That's definitely her." Daniel tried to laugh it off. "Oh, come on. It's got to be some other Sarah Bennett." But Tommy wasn't budging. "No, it says 32 years old. Our city just acquired MedTech Industries. And it has her picture." I set my fork down, wiped my mouth. "What would you like to know?" The room cracked open. Dad stammered that it couldn't be true, that I worked for someone else, that I'd never mentioned owning anything. I told him flat out, "You never asked." Michael was shaking as he scrolled through more headlines. Forbes, Fortune, Wall Street Journal, all my face, all my company. Patricia, barely breathing, read how quantum dynamics had reshaped AI in healthcare, revolutionized diagnostics, bought out pharma giants. "Why didn't you tell us?" Dad demanded. And I looked at all of them, every single one of them who had spent years treating me like the family charity case. "When exactly would I have told you? At last Christmas, when Daniel explained how real business works. Or maybe at Michael's birthday, when Jennifer told me to hurry up and find a man to take care of me." And that landed hard. Jake, the other nephew, broke the silence, eyes wide with awe. "Aunt Sarah, it says you donated $50 million to children's hospitals and you're building a cancer research center." I nodded. "The Morrison Center. It'll open next spring." My mother clutched her pearls tighter. But you live in that tiny apartment. You drive that old Honda. I like my apartment. And the Honda runs fine. They kept spiraling, realizing piece by piece how blind they'd been. 6 months ago, I had quietly bought Dad's companies through my investment arm. They'd been bleeding cash, and I'd propped them up as their silent partner. Harborview? Mine. Meridian Development? Also mine. Michael's face turned chalk white when he realized I owned half the future deals he thought he was plotting. Finally, Dad whispered, "I owe you an apology." But I shook my head. "No, you don't. You made choices with the story you thought was true. I never corrected you. That's on me." Michael leaned forward, desperate. "But why? Why keep it secret?" And I told him the truth, the thing they'd never once considered. Because this was the only place I could just be Sarah. Not the CEO, not the billionaire. Just your sister, your daughter, your aunt. The person you thought needed your advice, your guidance, your pity. It was the one place I could disappear into normal. But it turns out you didn't love me. You loved that version of me. The failure, the disappointment. That's who you loved. It hit like a hammer. My mother broke down crying, swearing they loved me. But I could see the truth in their faces. And then the kids, God bless them, pulled the whole night back from the edge. Jake asked me about AI, about my diagnostics, like he actually wanted to learn. Tommy wanted to know about the cancer research, said he might go pre-med because of it. For the first time in forever, my family leaned forward, not to judge, not to correct, but to listen, to actually see me. By the time dessert hit the table, something had shifted. Not fixed, not healed, but shifted. And as I drove home later to my apartment, my reliable Honda humming along, I couldn't help but smile. Tomorrow I'd wake up and sign off on billion-dollar mergers, keep building the future. But that night, for the first time, I'd been seen. Not the Sarah they imagined, not the disappointment they pitted, but the real me. And here's the part that keeps me up sometimes. Was it their fault for assuming, or mine for staying quiet? Were they protecting their legacy, or just protecting their pride? You tell me, was I wrong for keeping my world hidden, or were they wrong for never asking? Drop your thoughts below, because I honestly want to hear what you think about family, about pride, about what people owe each other when money and love collide.